To be honest with you guys, I didn't even know that a sequel to this movie was being made. But since I heard from most people that these films are beyond terrible, hey, settle down there, fellas. That's why I'm here. Let's get started. Yo, what is up, my Cinedroids? G to the S here. Today, I'm going to be reviewing one of the abysmal sequels to one of the best iterations of a revenge story, Taken 2. And, surprising no one, Liam Neeson is back for another round. But in this movie, 2 years ago, retired CIA agent Bryan Mills, since the last film, used his particular set of skills to rescue his daughter Kim from kidnappers. Since then, Kim has been learning self-defense from her father, and Bryan has been on a personal mission to reunite with his ex-wife, played by Famke Janssen is how you pronounce it? No matter. Anywho, in Istanbul, Bryan and his family cross paths with Murad, played by Rade Serbedzija, whose son died at Bryan's hands during Kim's rescue. Murad wants revenge, and he'll stop at nothing to get it. Okay, right off the bat, let me discuss how the filmmakers executed the story for this movie. Not only is it a pointless rehash of the first movie, but now the roles have been reversed. In the first movie, they kept the story simple but different. Kim is the one who is kidnapped, and now it's up to Bryan Mills to mow down enemies at his disposal to rescue his daughter before being sold and auctioned off by sex slave owners. But now in this movie, Kim is the one who has to save not only her father from being killed, but Bryan has to give her directions and create and cause a distraction towards his enemies that are guarding the whole place. And how does she do that, I hear you ask? Why, by throwing grenades at pinpoints Bryan is leading her while scaling from rooftop to rooftop. Sure, that'll work. In terms of character development, I get that they want to make it different from the first film, but I'm sorry, they clearly made them cardboard cutouts of its predecessor. And this is the problem people have with sequels nowadays. They knew the first movie would be a smash hit, so let's make a sequel that completely rehashes elements from the first film, but make the characters different in different locations. That's not how that works. A good sequel knows how to pick up the story where the first one ended, not tell the same story over again. Do you want me to give you a visual example of how to make a good sequel done right? I have a ton of examples, but for the sake of the duration of this review, I'll give you a few. The Toy Story sequels, Kung Fu Panda 2, and the How to Train Your Dragon sequels. Those movies are prime examples of that. When it comes to the Toy Story sequels, sure, say all you want about the fourth movie, but I thought they followed the rules to how a good sequel should be made. Starting with the second film, it starts immediately after a prolonged Buzz Lightyear video game sequence, where we do see that the toys are at Andy's new house, just like at the end of the first film. But they kept the story different. This time, Woody is kidnapped by Al, the owner of Al's toy barn. Now it's up to Buzz and his friends to rescue him and prevent him from going to the Japan Toy Museum and be back home by the time Andy returns from his cowboy camp. And then in the third film, we flash forward 10 years after the second film, where Andy is now getting ready for college. And the toys end up being donated at a Sunnyside daycare center. And they thought they would get their vacation oasis that they deserved because of their loss for their owner Andy. Well, think again. At first, Lotso is pictured on the outside as a very cuddly, snuggly teddy bear. But on the inside, we find out that he's running the whole place like an abusive prison. And now the toys have to escape the daycare center and head back home by the time Andy leaves for college. These kinds of sequels tell a different story that continues where the previous films left off, not rehash the same elements over again. Same with the How to Train Your Dragon sequels. Again, starting with the second film, it starts immediately after the events of the first movie, where we see that their dragon village is being overrun by a vicious dragon hunter named Drago Bloodfist, building his own dragon army to enslave every dragon possible and dismantle and destroy everything in his path. And now it's up to Hiccup, Astrid, and his friends to put a stop to him so that they can live in peace and harmony together. Then in the third and final film in the trilogy, a dragon killer named Grimmel the Grizzly is on a mission to kill Hiccup's beloved Night Fury, Toothless. And now he has to gather all his friends and their dragons up to another island that is at least isolated by their enemies. But now to fight to the death to disable Grimmel from his mission and save their beloved dragons from being slayed. Different story, but they're simple and they move forward with it, not back. And lastly, Kung Fu Panda 2 not only continued where the first one ended, but Po the panda finally learns Kung Fu. And now he has to stop a vicious peacock named Lord Shen from not only conquering China, but destroying Po's panda village. But not only do we see Po embark on his journey, but there's also a sensitive side to him. His visions of his real parents keep plaguing him, and he has to master his inner peace to keep him focused on his main goal. Again, different story, but it was simple, and they moved forward with it, not backwards. See what I'm getting at? Now, in terms of dramatic and emotional elements, I appreciate the fact that you're making us care for these characters just like you did in the first film, but I feel like the previous film had a much more bigger and more of a hardcore impact than what you tried to pull off in the sequel. The emotional stakes kept piling up in the last film, but it kept me glued to the screen and biting my nails throughout the whole film. The original had me guessing and scared for the characters in that film, and by the time he finally reached his goal, he killed the person that kidnapped his daughter, and now they can finally head back home peacefully. It left me wanting more. But in this film, sure, the emotional stakes are there, but they don't leave a lasting impression on me. Instead, it left me questioning myself constantly throughout the whole picture. Now, I will give you this. The direction coaching from Olivier Megaten was well done. I enjoyed the action sequences in the movie, and the camera work and cinematography, I'll admit, was handled really well. But that doesn't mean it makes a movie good. In the end, I thought Taken 2 was really underwhelming. Sure, the action sequences were enjoyable and were well shot. Sure, the acting was enjoyable. But I still thought the writing was weak. The characters were not that memorable as they were in the last film. The execution was missed. And the overall story for this movie was a complete retread of the original. In short, it was very disappointing. And as a result, I rate Taken 2 2.5 stars out of 5. Stay tuned. My review of the third and final film in the trilogy is coming up next. But still, I would recommend watching the first film again. Don't waste your breath with this one. It's not worth it. So Taken 2. You've seen it, right? Well, let me know in the comments what's a sequel you thought was disappointing to watch. I would love to hear some answers down below this review. But if you like this video and you want to see some more, make sure that like button shines in your face. That'll totally help me out a ton. Also, share it with your family and friends and favorite it. That's a very good way to show support for this review. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell right next to you so you can be notified of future videos that I have in store for you. And also, if you want a shout out in a future video, just follow me on both Instagram and Twitter, and I will choose one of my Cinedroids to be displayed as a shout out. The links are in the description below. And also, I have a TikTok account for you guys where I do whistle covers as well as singing duets with my sister every once in a blue moon as well. So if you guys are interested, the link's also down below this video. Also, if you want to subscribe to my gaming channel, there's either a link in the description or at the icon card in the top right corner of your screen. Go over there and subscribe, and let's just have fun together. But until then, I'll see you next time. Peace out.